morning and welcome to the live harp lesson. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Zuzanna and I'm a Polish harpist living and working in Edinburgh, Scotland. Do let me know if you can hear me alright, if you can see me. After that lesson is done, there is not much you can do about the sound, so please let me know if there are any problems with the sound or with the vision. From my place it all looks fine, but I know it can be very different. This harp lesson is on the topic of arranging for the harp. I wonder how many of you have tried to arrange things for the harp and created little pieces or wanted to do that. It's something which is really satisfying when you can play pieces that you love on the harp, but some people find it slightly scary to where to start and what to do, so I'll be talking a bit about that. Hello to everyone who just joined on Instagram. I can also see that there are some people watching on Facebook. Please reveal yourself, say hello, or just wave or send an emoji, so I'm sure that you can hear me all right. This is another one of the live harp lesson Friday series. It's a free series of lessons, and each week I'm talking about one chosen topic from harp playing, showing one or a few different pieces and answering questions. I can see more people are coming and tuning in. Okay, so about today's topic, a bit more about today's topic. As I said, it's something that can be quite mysterious topic. You don't quite know how to approach this, so I will be breaking that process in a few simple steps. I'll be also sharing with you some examples from my Christmas carols collection, my newest project, which will be out in exactly 1 week. The carols will be available to purchase from my website. You will find the link on Instagram in my bio. On Facebook you will find it in the description of this live. You can get to the sign up to the waiting list. The book will be downloadable as PDF, so there is no waiting for the book arrive to the post. You can download it straight away as soon as it's available on Friday. The regular price will be £19.90, which to Polish audience that translates roughly to 98 zlotys. But there will be a special offer for those who subscribe to the carols waiting list. You will again find the link in the same places. That's the same link, and you will find the button to sign up to that list. I will be emailing a special discount code to those who are on the list, so you will be able to enjoy an early Christmas present and then get your carols a bit cheaper. Okay, about today's topic, let me flip the page. This is actually the PDF that you will be also able to download for this lesson for free if you sign up to the carol list, if you sign up to my newsletter. And this one is really packed with knowledge and tips and examples, so I hope you'll find it helpful. When working on arrangements, I usually start with the melody. Most of the pieces that we are working to arrange, either for ourselves or for weddings, if you're working as a wedding harpist, usually they have quite a distinct melody. So I would try to work out how that melody translates to the harp. I would try to think about the rhythm, which involves deciding what kind of time signature you want to put it in. You may want to just get the feeling of the piece, whether it's in 2 or in 1, 2, 3. Then you need to see if there are any tempo changes that can affect the rhythm. For example, one of the carols that I was working on has verses which feel quite solemn and distinct, and then the chorus which is more upbeat. So you need to check if these kind of tempo changes actually involve any rhythmical change, or can it just be all written in the same values. Then about the rhythm, you need to decide what time values are you going to use. A lot of the music can be written down, well, you know that already, as crotchets or quavers, but I think there is this psychological effect that even if they are going to go at the same speed, if you write something down as crotchets, it will feel slower, it will have sort of different character than if you write down exactly the same thing in quavers. So you might want to just look at that from that angle, maybe also ask someone for help, just as I asked a week ago someone to consult my work on the carols. Then the next thing you need to decide on is the key, especially if it's a song with a melody that you will be able to sing. it's important that you don't make yourself or whoever will be playing that arrangement to sing too high or too low. So once you've written down your melody, see what's the highest, what's the lowest note, and see how easily you can sing that. I don't know about men and men's voices, but for myself, even though I have quite a low voice, I would normally not write below the A, below the middle C, and maybe E above the high C would be the highest I would go to. Somewhere within the range. Of course, I know that it is possible to sing much lower and much higher, but you don't want to strain people's voices. Thank you for waving here on Harp. I don't know if I'm reading your nicknames correctly. Hello and welcome. I can't say... Oh, hi, hello. It's hard to read from the distance. Okay, so those three things are quite important. The time signature, the rhythm, and the key. You can check how accurate your predictions were by consulting that with some scores, with recordings, but I think what I went for is first try to figure out those things myself, see how they sound in my head before going to check with existing scores. That's what I did, but you can do the other way around. Then, when looking at melody, you might see that there are quite a few different versions. Sometimes if a singer is very expressive, they might add some extra notes. And here is an example from one of the carols from the book where some people might add extra notes to the melody, and you might want to decide whether you want to do this on the harp or not. So this carol is The Joyful Tidings, the rough English translation. In Polish that's Wesołą Nowinę. And at the beginning of the chorus, which goes like that in the version where people embellish it a bit more. And then the other version, a bit less decorated, is... You can see that instead of... we have... which is also a tiny bit more friendly for our harp fingers because we just come off and then we are with 4 fingers. So I decided to go for that second version because the book that I'm creating is for beginners starting to play on the harp, so I don't want to make their lives too difficult, and also that version seems to be a tiny bit more popular. So if you are arranging a song which may have many recordings, many different versions, I would listen to quite a few of them and see which ones prevail, which ones you like more, which ones are suited better for the harp. This kind of mini research. Okay, then moving on to the next topic, that was dealing with melody, with the work you will be doing when you will be looking at the melody of your piece. And the next thing that you want to add would be harmony. And I like to start my work thinking that I'm first working on the right hand melody and then I'm working on the left hand harmony. Of course, this is a great simplifying. I'm simplifying this topic because later I will be looking at how I can balance both between the hands. But to start with, I find it much easier to think that I'm first working on the right hand, figuring out the melody, then working on the harmony. And with harmony and in general in arranging for the harp, it's quite helpful to first be able to read the music, not only because you will be able to write it down and share with others. It's perfectly fine if you don't want to share arrangements with anyone else, but I find it also really useful being able to draft several ideas and not have to remember all of them, put them even in a different file, and then just pick and draw from that repository of ideas and put some things in, put some things away. I would find it quite hard to remember everything in my head. I very often started with some of the carols, especially the ones that I like to sing and play a lot. I started by just improvising something on the harp, but then I would always move to maybe not pen and paper anymore, but to music editing software and just write those ideas down as quick as I can, because then I don't have to remember about them. With harmony, apart from reading the music, you might also want to have some basic knowledge of music theory and in particular about chords. In most popular songs, you will only need to know very well 3 types of chords. For example, maybe let's move to the key of C major. That's usually how it's explained in many theory books. So if we are in the key of C major, chord which is built on C, so the chord skipping one string going to E, skipping one string going to G. That chord is called tonic, and this is the most important chord which usually starts most of the songs and finishes most of the songs. And when you look at the PDF, you will see that this is the chord, but then also same notes can be put in a different shape and even differently like that, and this is still the same chord, and you can use it in the melody where that chord sounds suitable, so beginning at the end, at least in most of the songs. Then the chord which is on the fourth step of the scale is called subdominant, and this is FAC, and again it can be in different shapes. It can have C at the bottom, it can have F at the bottom, it can have A at the bottom. It's still the same chord, and it will still work well in the parts of the melody where it sounds suitable. And then the chord which is just above on the fifth step is G, called the G major chord as well, and this is G, B, D, and this chord usually goes before the tonic. It's going to let that sort of relax into the ending. So that's usually quite frequent to have that chord just before the tonic. So most of the songs you will be able to write them down and put simple harmony just using those three chords. Of course, later you might want to add some more flavors into that. This is an example of cooking with just salt, pepper, and what else? Maybe I don't know, maybe basil. So just having 3 ingredients, but of course there are many more flavors and ingredients when you want to compose the music, but to start with and to get the feeling, this is quite good. So you can again either consult the scores or just work on a melody and just see what sounds good. So I sometimes revert to playing just those basic shapes of chords and seeing which one of them works well with particular bits of melody. Then in the PDF you've got an example of another one of Christmas carols. We were talking about C major chord, C major key, but there are also minor keys, and in that carol I'm using E minor key, and for that I'm also raising D sharp. That affects the dominant chord. You remember, first chord is E minor chord, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth chord B major chord is the dominant to the tonic. And when you look at the example, I think it will be a very useful exercise for you to do, to try to see which chords are used in each bar. Each bar has one chord only, so it's quite easy, but you can look at the tonic chords that I'm putting, the tonic, subdominant, dominant chords for E minor, and see which one of them you see in which bit of the song. So as predicted, the beginning starts with tonic, the bottom note is E, then we have G, and here right hand takes over the melody B. So we've got all 3 notes of the chord at the beginning. Then that changes. Then here you see that in the third bar we've got again the same chord, although different ingredients. We've got still E at the bottom, skipping that G here going to B, and then G is in the melody. So still 3 notes of that chord, but in different order, and then we have a different chord again. Here back to our tonic chord. I'll play it one more time for you. It's in 3, so with each 3 notes, after each 3 notes you will hear the chord changing, so you can hopefully make out that every second bar we're back to the tonic, and see where else it's changing. So hear it one more time. On with some more chords, but yeah, have a look at that and also see how I'm putting the ingredients in. I'm not always using all of the notes of the chords. I think there is no instant that I would have left hand playing all 3 chords, but of course when I was starting I was going 3 chords, 3 notes of a chord, 3 notes of a chord. You can see which ones I'm using here. That would be with a D sharp and that, just to figure out which chord sounds suitable on which bit of the song. And then the last bit, balancing the bow between the hands, so balancing the melody and the harmony. As you could see there, In the previous example, I was looking at which notes were present already in the melody, and then the left hand had a bit less work to do, and also I didn't want to have the piece too thick with texture. I wanted it to be quite simple, so I was just leaving the very basic elements of the chords. Sometimes there are some pieces, just moving to another key again, you will find that with some pieces the melody is actually very rich, and it's even so rich that you can't have quite enough fingers to play them on the harp. Just let me see if I'm in the right key. Yeah, we're now in F major, and the next carol is English title would be Today in Bethlehem, and in Polish it's Dzisiaj w Betlejem. And this carol has quite a few notes in the melody, and it also goes quite fast. I'll play just melody on its own, so you can see what's happening here if I played it with just my right hand. So you can see that there are very often a few moments where I would have to use 5 fingers, so here I had to go, which is really not my favorite fingering to do. Of course I could go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, then here I've got a big arpeggio, but then I've got another fast arpeggio towards the middle of that chorus, and I would have to go and cross over and then go to even more fast notes. So this is not quite ideal for the right hand, especially if you haven't got 5 fingers to play, as we harpists use only 4. So what I came up with, and you can see it much more clearly in the PDF, is that I'm taking some of those notes in the left hand. I play it quite slowly so you can see which bits of melody are taken into the left hand. So here we start with right hand. Make it out. I'm starting with the right hand. Left hand has just one note indicating the harmony. Then left hand changes the harmony. We're moving between C chord and F chord. If you can follow that, that's tonic F and dominant C. So left hand is going to take over that F and go. And then right hand takes over again the last note and carries on with the melody. In the right hand, so left hand takes 2, right hand takes 3, so in total we have 5, and then they can carry on because it's just 4 fingers, nice turns, and so on. So that's one way how you can make that a bit easier if you've got a very busy piece with lots of notes. Here it also has a nice value of giving a bit of contrast to the different voices, because first we're playing and singing quite high, that's kind of one voice. Contrast between right hand and left hand, and in the text of the song it also goes the angels are playing, the kings are welcoming the baby Jesus, so it's like different voices playing inside the text as well, which makes sense to have. You can also have left hand going maybe a bit lower on the strings, for example going then have even more difference between different voices, between different characters of the song. Just to sum up where all these resources come from, where can you find this? So that downloadable PDF is available from the link that I posted on Facebook, and that you will find in the bio on Instagram as soon as this live is finished. For music editing, I'm using, that's also something a few people have asked, for music editing I'm using software called MuseScore, that will be also in the notes for that lesson. It's a free software, and I find that it actually does a really good job for simple pieces. Actually, even for more complex pieces, I didn't really notice any functionalities that I was missing from that program, so highly recommended. And Christmas carols will be out in exactly 1 week, so sign up to the waiting list if you don't want to miss the release date. And what's more, you can already have a peek not only at the carols that I was presenting here today and that you will find in the PDF, but there is one free carol that you can download already. That carol was the one that I played in a live lesson 2 weeks ago. Now you can download the music for that as well. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Remember to sign up for the waiting list if you would like to get your discount. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week when the carols will be out, and it will be a very, very exciting day. Thank you very much for coming and joining in today. I could see there were quite a few people on Instagram today, so thank you very much all for joining in, and I hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye!